Hey everybody, Tyler Faison here from Vandelay Sound Exports in Dallas, Texas. I am here with George Tsai, and he has a pretty awesome project on Kickstarter right now. It is a pretty revolutionary timecode slate. George, first off, who are you, and what's your background, and what do you do for a living?
My name is George Tsai, thank you. I've started sound a long time ago, to sound mixing with my church, and then did that for a good 10 years, and then eventually moved into production audio onto film sets and started buying some audio equipment. And then eventually kind of moved into the camera department when I bought my first Epic, when I bought my Epic, and then that's pretty much where it led me to where I am today. In the midst of all of that, I was also in the Marine Corps for a while, which is how I paid for the Epic.
Nice. So what is it exactly that you've developed?
I basically was able to design, program, and pretty much build from scratch a timecode slate at a much lower cost than, say, Denicky or ambient recording, and it's something that I don't see used a whole lot on smaller productions that I worked on, and syncing was always an issue on those productions. When I'm DITing, trying to correlate all the footages, and then people in the post complaining, it's like I don't know what's what because half the time things aren't labeled or or whatnot. So having studied electrical engineering in college, I was able to build up the slate and figure out how to make it really cheap for these smaller productions, basically.
Gotcha. Okay, so what? So I guess the question would be, why not just use an ambient or a Denicky slate?
A lot of people don't really want to throw down the money for $1,200, $1,500 slates, and a lot of these small productions don't want to pay for these pay the extra rentals for the use of the slate from the sound guys. So by offering a more affordable solution, it's something that even camera owners could afford to try to add to their equipment pool, and, as well as the sound guys who are just starting out. Even if their sound recorders don't have a timecode input, you could still have a somewhat of a visual reference, and feed something into the audio track of the recorder.
Right. So it's kind of being billed as, would you say half the cost of a kind of a standard smart slate? Is that fair?
Yeah. So the current price on the Kickstarter will be $600, and the cheapest Denicky, I think you're looking at about $1,200. Even on the used market, you're I think what I've been seeing is about averaging $800. So.
Right. Okay. And then a lot of times when maybe a new manufacturer comes into a specific niche in the sound community, the quality is it leaves a lot to be desired. And you're offering something that's close to half the price. Are we going to expect to see like half the quality of performance?
Yes. I guess that comes in two fronts, and the most important thing is that it has an accurate clock. And the time code has been around for decades. I think at least 40 some odd years, and temperature compensated clocks today are really cheap. They used to cost a lot, decades ago, but now they're literally, it's like $1 more or so than your standard clock. And these new temperature compensated clocks are just have the same accuracy as the ones that Denicky and Ambient use in their devices. And then the second one would be the hardware. If the hardware is going to stand up to being on a set and being abused. So to make it cheap. Part of making it cheaper is to have a manufacturing process that allows for cheap manufacturing, which is injection molded plastic. So once the tooling is made, which is most of the cost of the Kickstarter campaign, we can produce these the enclosures for this display, at a relatively low cost compared to trying to machine these parts out of metal or the such. Yeah, and plastic being plastic, it's not going to be as hard as, say, one that made out of steel or aluminum, but plastics come a long ways, and it could stand quite a bit. Let's take a phone for example. You drop that I drop it all the time. It still stands up to the test of time. As well as since I'll be using a steel front panel, that'll help add to the protection of the actual display itself.
Right. So some clear advantages over other kind of what people would do now, either use a dump slate or even like iPad slates are sort of finding their kind of use on set. But clearly you've got something that's really great. Well, I guess give me a quick rundown of maybe the ports that it has, the inputs and outputs. Does it run on batteries and all that kind of stuff? What do you got? What do you got for me?
Actually, all right. So this is one of the prototypes that I got. On the back is the batteries. So that goes into the this slot right here. Let's see. There we go. Alright, so 5-pin LEMO, that'll be standard, as well as 1/4 inch is here on the side. And let's see, navigation menu for displays right in here. And you also have external DC power, which is threaded. It could take up to 16 volts, so you can easily hook up, say, like, if you want for some reason a V-mount battery to it without any problems. This right here is an external button. This button will start the slate counting, and also once you clap your clapper, it shows you the last clap time. So that's what that button does. You can turn it on and off. And actually, on the top is where the clapper switch is connected to. So if you just get the display, you can actually wire up your own switch if you wanted to. On the front, it's not on this prototype, but on the front right here, there will be actually two contact points here, and that's where the connection for the front lit LED will be connected to, basically.
Gotcha. Yeah. And this will do all the standard timecode formats that we see in a regular day in the life of us.
Yes.
On the XCOM mix.
Yeah. So 23976 is, I guess, the most common here in the States. 25 is definitely in there for all the European standard. And what actually, since the frame rate is set through through the display. If for some reason there's like an odd frame rate or a new standard that comes along, you can easily program into the firmware and update it. There's a USB port back here that will makes it possible for future firmware upgrade if need be. Yeah, so you got all the. We can easily change, all the add frame rates and whatnot. That would be required.
Very cool. Well, I mean, would you say your slate has is there like a major weak point, or is it pretty strong all around? Like, can you give us? Is there like a main disadvantage to this for the guys out there wondering whether they should take the plunge on this or save up and buy, say, a Denicky or Ambient slate?
Let's see. Well, I have been reading around, and one guy did mention for people who would like to operate this in the bag, having the LEMO plug on the backside is a bit of an inconvenience. Yeah, and that's 100% understandable and legitimate. And there are 90-degree angle ports. They are rather expensive, given with Limo, and unfortunately, with this having to have this compact form factor, I wasn't really able to put this Limo plug on the side and keep it waterproof, basicch. So.
All right. So yeah, you mentioned waterproof. I see a bunch of holes there. This thing's waterproof.
Oh yeah. So the Kickstarter, you'll get a 1/4-inch plug that goes in through here. That'll help seal up the 1/4-inch, and then for the waterproof. I should say, as standard, it's splash proof. So in a heavy rain, you can splash a ocean wave, something or the other. It's protected against that as a standard. And with additional waterproofing, which I will be adding extra strengthened sealing all around the enclosure. That'll allow it to be submerged in shallow water for quite a while, and that'll require the use of this Limo cap. So, and that plugs into the Limo plug, and that'll help seal that up. And this is already there, and that helps water from getting inside. And once you screw in the battery enclosure, which has a seal around it, it's pretty well protected from water ingress. So.
Wow. And obviously you've done lots of extensive tests and all that, and I've seen it. It looks really fantastic. I'm kind of excited about it. And I think one of the coolest parts about it that I noticed was that you can use it as a sort of a standalone reader or a full-on slate. I mean, that's kind of part of the deal, right?
Yeah.
It's removable, and you could maybe mount it on your bag in the front or something like that.
Exactly, yeah, and we'll be making a large panel that fits in front of any box that you can easily switch out yourself. The LED on the front, that's something that's going to come after Kickstarter, and you can easily install that. Just screw into the front as well. Let's see, I'm trying to. Oh yeah, and somebody mentioned on I believe Reddit. They asked if there could be a cheaper version where it's just a reader only. And the funny thing about that is making it reader only doesn't make it any cheaper because all the components are exactly the same. If I switch out the clock for
inside the compact slate right there, right?
Exactly. So the only thing that would change really is the code. So and the real cost of it all is in all the hardware, and none of that changes. So having a display only reader doesn't make it any cheaper. So I believe Betso has a display only reader for sale, which actually I think still costs more than one of these. So.
Yeah, no kidding. Tell me about it. That's great. Well, tell me a little about your Kickstarter campaign. How long are you into it? How much along are you funded? How much you got to go?
So as it stands, we are at just under 11,000 with 15 days to go. So we're ending on February 18th, and so currently we have 19 backers. And quite a ways to go, so a little under, 70% left to raise. So and yeah, and if we can't, if we don't,
a couple weeks, $20,000, and you're good to go, right?
Hopefully so, yeah. I believe Tentacle Sync was able to make a pretty substantial last stretch and meet their goal for their little timecode generator box. So hopefully we'll be able to
maybe speaking of that, these sort of really innovative products, especially coming out of Kickstarter. I mean, they can all talk to each other. They're all they're so standardized now between software upgrades, hardware build, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, do you have any plans if, in the unlikely event that the Kickstarter doesn't get funded fully?
Well, if the Kickstarter doesn't get funded, Most likely, I'll probably just end up, wrapping this whole thing up and closing shop. Since this is the second attempt trying to get this thing going. So, and if it doesn't succeed, then not enough people in the market to I guess get something small going, and I'll move on to the next venture from there. If it does succeed. Then I'll be able to actually pay for the tooling of the casing, which is the most expensive part of it all, and I have plans on definitely making more Timecode products in the future, and one of kind of started toying around with is a small generator box you'll be able to put on the camera that's I'm targeting hopefully around $300 to $400 range with a display readout that'll be on here as well. So that's just something I've been toying around with at the moment.
Well, very cool. Sounds like you got your hands full.
Oh yeah, always busy trying to make a bunch of random stuff. So.
Well, I hear you. Well, you've definitely got a cool product on your hands. I really hope it gets funded. And so definitely thanks for joining us, George. We really appreciate it, and
definitely.
Maybe we'll check in.
Thank you.
In a couple weeks.
Thank you for your time, by the way.
You're certainly welcome. We'll and everybody just feel free to. I'll send some links to pictures and the Kickstarter campaign. Just check out all the links below.